What if every good deed you ever did was logged somewhere, like an entry in a cosmic ledger, an investment that could pay out when you least expect it? Well, today we're diving into that very idea, all through the incredible story of a humble merchant from Ming Dynasty, China. This guy had a business principle that honestly seemed completely foolish to everyone around him.
And that brings us to the big question, right? Can kindness actually be a practical investment? One that pays real, tangible dividends when you need them the most. The story of our merchant is about to put that idea to the ultimate test.
The whole story really boils down to this one Chinese proverb, Fu Bu Tong Juan, or Fu Bu Tong Juan. It's this powerful belief that no good deed, no matter how small, is ever really wasted. Think of it like a ledger of blessings, where every single act of kindness is a deposit, just slowly building up this unseen value.
All right, so let's set the scene. We're in the bustling city of Suzhou, and our main character is a small-time silk merchant named Zhu Jing. Now, he wasn't rich, he wasn't powerful, but he lived his life and ran his business by this strange code, this absolute faith in a cosmic ledger.
Now, as you can imagine, this belief created a ton of conflict with his business partner, Kai Yun. See, Kai Yun was a total pragmatist. For him, value was something you could hold in your hand, cold, hard silver. But Zhu Jing? He'd always argue that his real profit was something else entirely, an inexhaustible peace of mind. To Kai Yun, this was just ridiculous, foolish talk.
And this philosophy of his, it was tested again and again. So let's look at 3 key moments where Zhu Jing made what his partner called foolish investments, decisions that seemed to go against all business logic.
The first test happened at a tea house. Zhu Jing finds a bag, and inside, 50 ounces of gold. Now, for a small merchant, this was a straight-up fortune. We're talking life-changing money, enough to buy medicine for his mom, expand the business overnight, the whole shebang.
You can just imagine his partner Kai Yun's reaction, right? It was immediate. Hide it. This is a gift from heaven. You don't ask questions. That was the logical, profitable move. But Zhu Jing, he saw things a little differently.
So instead of pocketing the gold, Zhu Jing actually waited around and returned it to its owner, an official named Shun. He even refused a reward. His profit, as he put it, wasn't the gold. It was the peace in his heart and, importantly, the trust he earned from a very grateful official. And boom, deposit number 1 into his ledger.
Okay, so the second investment happens on another business trip. Zhu Jing comes across an old man who had collapsed on the road, just burning out with fever. Now, you have to remember, this was an age where a contagious disease was terrifying. Everyone else, they just walked right on by. But not Zhu Jing. He used the very last of his travel money to buy medicine and then spent 3 days nursing this complete stranger back to health. Of course, that delay meant he missed a huge market window, basically ruining the whole trip. Kai Yun was absolutely furious, shouting that these blessings of his couldn't pay their bills.
But for Zhu Jing, the logic was simple. The old man lived, and that, he said, brought a light into his heart that was worth more than any amount of silver. So there you have it, deposit number 2. He chose a human life over profit because he saw it as a more profound form of wealth. Now his third investment, this was his most ambitious, and to everyone else, it was his most senseless. Near his home, there was this barren hill that would cause these dangerous mudslides whenever it rained hard. So for 3 years, Zhu Jing poured his tiny profits into buying and planting nearly 1,000 saplings all over that hill. Everyone, and especially Kai Yun, thought he was completely crazy. Planting trees that wouldn't provide any benefit for decades? It just seemed like the biggest waste of time and money imaginable. A total daydream, with zero immediate payoff. But Zhu Jing was playing the long game. He saw something nobody else did. He wasn't just planting trees. He felt he was building a protective barrier, a lifeline for the future. He wasn't thinking about himself. He was thinking about protecting his community from a disaster he just had a feeling could come one day. And that was his third and most patient deposit. And then it happened. Disaster struck. That cosmic ledger of his was about to be put to the ultimate test in a crisis where all the silver in the world wouldn't be worth a thing. First, a historic flood hit Suzhou. That's followed by a plague. And then, to top it all off, a massive fire just rips through the city. In a matter of days, Zhu Jing's business is totally wiped out. His warehouse, flooded. His silk, ruined.
His savings, gone. All he had left was his home.
So as he's racing home, fearing the absolute worst, he sees a miracle. The fire had stopped just short of his neighborhood. And the reason? Years before, he had organized the community to clear out this small, cluttered alley. Well, that very same alley now served as a perfect firebreak, letting the firefighters stop the blaze and save dozens of homes, including his. A small, probably forgotten good deed had just become a literal firewall.
And then, at his absolute lowest point, with literally nothing to his name, Zhu Jing's other investments, all those deposits in his ledger of blessings, they began to pay out, and in the most unbelievable ways.
The government official sent to manage the entire disaster relief effort? It was none other than Minister Shen, the very same man whose gold Xu Jing had returned all those years ago. And Shen remembered Xu Jing's character. He trusted the man more than his empty pockets, so he awarded the massive government contract for silk supplies to him. But there was one last, massive problem. The main roads were completely destroyed in the flood. The only way to get that precious silk transported was through a dangerous, bandit-infested mountain path. It was an almost impossible task.
And this is the final payout. Xu Jing chooses a route that takes them right past that hill he spent 3 years reforesting. Well, it wasn't barren anymore. His 1,000 trees had grown into a dense forest. Their roots held the soil firm, creating a stable, hidden road. The thick canopy of leaves shielded his caravan from the sun and, most importantly, hid them from bandits. His foolish daydream had become their actual lifeline.
So what is the takeaway here? Zhu Jing's story is so much more than just a nice fable. It's a practical code for living. It's a completely different way of calculating value, profit, and return on investment.
And the system is actually pretty simple. First, you make deposits. These are acts of kindness, of integrity, of foresight, and you do them without expecting anything back right away. Second, you just have to trust that these deposits are building up unseen value in your ledger. And third, when crisis hits, you find you can actually make a withdrawal. That value comes back to you as a firewall, a contract of trust, or a canopy of safety.
In the end, Zhu Jing's story reveals a much deeper kind of accounting. It teaches us that when you do an act of kindness, you aren't just planting a tree, you're planting future shade. You aren't just returning lost money, you are literally returning and reshaping destiny itself.